Salutations! Welcome to another episode of RWBY Review, where your friend Mookies breaks down the latest exploits of our friends in Remnant. Today is February 6, 2021, the first episode back from the hiatus and also the 100th episode of RWBY. We did it, folks. We reached a huge milestone. Was the episode worth the hype and deserving of its title? Let's dive in and see. We're starting with Crow this time, and this volume seems to be dedicated to having a few minutes of Team Jail Cell opening the episode before they're gone for the rest of it. What's up with that? I get there's a lot happening, but I kind of feel bad for them. They aren't being utilized because there's only so much screen time, and unfortunately they're just not as important as the other characters currently are. That's definitely Cinder breaking into the cells to break Watts out. The 2D animation for the smoke and stuff looks funny, but I like their incorporation of 2D with 3D in RWBY. It's actually one of my favorite parts, visually. Also, I hated Watts early on in the series, but now I rather like him. He even looks a little cute with how scared he was at the break-in. But what is up with his black eye? Does this man not have aura? Why isn't he healing his injuries? How long has passed? Is it really only 48 hours since that's apparently how long the entirety of Volume 8 lasts in universe? Still, isn't that plenty of time to replenish one's aura and recover from their injuries? Does he just not have aura anymore? The first time I watched this episode, I really thought that bird was Raven. Perhaps come to bust Crow out or something. But it's likely just Crow transforms so he can escape. Also, geez, how much blunt force trauma is Robin expected to endure? First the plane crash, now this? Did she ever even receive medical attention for that? Or did they just toss her in the hard light cell with everyone else? Nora, she's awake. Blake saying Penny was leaking really feels dehumanizing to me. Like she's just some object. I honestly expected her to say bleeding, but I don't like their word choice there. Cute little callback to Whitley being drenched in Volume 7. I don't know why he stretches his lanky little arms out all the way, but I guess that's just his thing. The way Weiss and RWBY do it seems normal, but he really likes stretching himself out for some weird reason. Is that one of Cinder's knives inside of her or something else? I can't quite tell, though they did pull attention to it.
Oh, that's just rich.
No, Whitley, you're just rich. It was nice of May to check in on them and worry for their safety. RWBY getting overwhelmed and upset is interesting given how she's usually so implacable, and Klein gives really good advice here that applies to everything. We need to learn to break things down to small, manageable chunks. Don't overwhelm yourself. You can do it. Start small. Just keep up the low pace and you'll get there. Yeah, letting out some of that resentment is kind of funny. Come through, King. Communicate those feelings. I don't know if anyone else got a weird vibe off Willow greeting Klein. It could be that she's just surprised to see him, but it also had me instantly thinking that maybe she and Klein used to be a thing, or Klein has feelings for her and he was always good to her when Jacques wasn't, and that maybe Klein is the true father of Weiss and her siblings, but then that would undercut the importance of Weiss overcoming her abusive father and not being wicked or damned just because her father ain't shit. So honestly, I think that theory was born and died with the same breath for me. Weiss's mouth looks so fucking weird here. I don't know why, but her mouth movements in particular look off. Or maybe they're spot on, and because I'm used to them being off or generic, it looks off as a result. Is that just me? Yes, Whitley, king of problem solving. It's clear he cares more about just the family name now. Look at that immense growth in such a short period of time. With the way Weiss's character grew immensely rather quickly early on in RWBY, she'd be called out for something and then rectify her behavior, something I always attributed to being uniquely Weiss as opposed to flip-flop characterization, is starting to feel like a Schnee family trait. I know people will say it's just plot convenience, but I'd rather believe it to be run in the family that the Schnee siblings are just excellent at examining their own behaviors and adjusting because they're always looking to better themselves. Now all that's left is for Whitley to learn to fight, though honestly it feels like he'll just be a normal human running the Schnee Dust Company probably, which I just really hope he does because I would love to see him inherit his birthright and become an excellent fighter under Weiss and Winter's tutelage. Also, it'd be cool if he attended Beacon. That growth would be excellent to see, specifically because of how he viewed fighting and learning huntsman skills as barbaric and beneath him.
Are you jealous of my abilities? Of Winter's?
No, not really. Honestly, I find it barbaric. It's beneath people like me, like Father. What could a single huntsman possibly do that an army could not? That's why we have one, even if it is run by a fool.
So him unlocking his semblance and becoming a huntsman has always been a huge expectation of mine. Given he's undergoing a redemption arc now, or at least being fleshed out beyond the little brother bully trope, one can hope he'd also follow through with that growth. The moon looks especially gorgeous. Can't decide if it's in 2D or 3D. Finally, some Ladybug content. When was the last time RWBY and Blake interacted on a genuine level, like had any sort of development together? Volume 8 might start to eclipse Volume 7 as my second favorite volume right after Volume 3. What a sweet Ladybug moment. We've been starved of content forever, so volume 8 is serving. Also, I really appreciate how Blake consistently works in her trauma and abuse and the understanding it brought her to benefit her friends and be a beacon of hope and positivity for them. Abuse didn't make her kind, she was kind in spite of the abuse, and she knows that what's important because of her lived experiences. Before, she was hesitant to let anyone in and fled from her problems, and now here she is encouraging others to face theirs and being the support and loving friend they need. It's excellent character growth. I don't like how large Blake's ears have become, though, compared to how tiny they were in volumes 1 to 3, or really volume 1 to 2, because I don't think we saw them in 3. I don't feel like we ever got an explanation for why they became 3 times their size, and whereas her previous small ears would be easily believable hiding under a bow, these large ones just don't seem as believable to me in terms of hiding under a bow. Like, it just doesn't seem realistic. Loving the horror influences that RWBY is heavily incorporating into the show. I'd say it first started around the time the apathy were introduced, and then again when Cinder showed up in the hallway before Winter in volume 7. And now they are really leaning into it. And this framing of the Hound behind an unaware RWBY right after that look on Blake's face, per-fucking-fection. Sibling banter, I live for it. The Sneeze siblings are adorable. Why are movements so slow? Blake's running was laughably slow. Her reaction times have gotten noticeably worse. It's just a grim. I love when we know something the characters don't. Dramatic irony is great, particularly now that we know the Hound is a legit threat, but RWBY and Blake think nothing is amiss, so they're in for a world of hurt. Why is everyone's aura so trash? Watts' aura is non-existent, otherwise his black eye would have healed. RWBY gets hit twice and her aura threatens to break and she's knocked unconscious. We see even more examples later in the episode. Why does Blake move so sluggish? The way she threw Gamble's shroud looked super weak, like she lobbed it gently. She's strong enough to keep the Hound in place though, which is very interesting to see. Why is Weiss talking to Klein instead of helping Blake rescue RWBY? Can she not do both? She's standing there talking to Klein while the Scream has her team leader and friend in its clutches. It's like when Yang, Jean, and Ren stood there and watched the Hound transformed while Oscar was on the ground and did nothing to confront it while vulnerable. Why? Oh hell, they're in for it now. The movie horror tropes. More please. Penny's clearly ableist, given how she just assaulted a neurodivergent man. We need to format and hard reset her problematic ass. And if you listen closely, that's the sound of my heart shattering into 100 pieces. All Weiss knows how to do is summon, and it's so exceptionally boring. The exception is this time around, since we see her summon a hitherto unseen Nevermore summon. When did Weiss acquire Nevermore? The only one I could think it could possibly be was the one Team RWBY defeated back in Volume 1, Chapter 8, Players in Pieces, aka one of my favorite episodes of the series ever. But it can't have been that one, can it? RWBY was the one that ultimately killed it. Did Weiss kill Nevermore off screen? The framing of the shot is absolutely gorgeous, making it look like Weiss's growing wings and the symbolification of freedom. You'll love to see it. Why would Blake jumping backwards release Gamble's shroud from around the Hound's ankle? I know that was quite the drop, but RWBY's taken 3 hits in the last little while, fall included. Why is her aura so fragile? This is one of the most disgusting Grimm I have ever witnessed. It also makes me think of Dr. Merlot from the Grimm Eclipse game, given he modified Grimm to make them green or whatever. I don't know, I never got past the 2nd level. The way Penny's eyes glitch? Great. I like it a lot. Definitely sells the confliction within her. Nora really is the heart of the team. It's so sweet to see. I'm really glad she's getting more lines than just groaning in her coma and muttering, heart-wrenchingly so, about how useless she is. Also, it really seems like Nora's talk no jutsu worked. If you don't know what talk no jutsu is, it means talking technique, and it's a joke in the Naruto fandom about how Naruto often has heart-to-hearts with his enemy and defeats them with just the power of dialogue and trust. Nora's talk no jutsu to Penny seems to have some sort of effect on her, or at least calm her down for the meantime. I really hope Willow doesn't die. I'd rather like her, although she does have the damning anime mom with the side ponytail, so it's a bit touch and go. Why is Weiss's aura on the verge of breaking? Why is everyone's aura so shit? Is the Hound just so ridiculously strong that one or two hits break your aura or have you near complete depletion? Somehow, I doubt that. Does Weiss have an earpiece in at all times so she can communicate without holding her scroll or having it on speaker? Is she just wearing remnants for the equivalent of an AirPod? Or do RWBY think holding up one's fingers to their ear is visual shorthand for communicating across microphones? We never see anything in Weiss's ear, so the fact that she does it looks extremely, extremely awkward and strange.
I can do this. I can...
Whitley!
You are the last thing I need.
Yes, you can, baby boy. Okay, the meeting someone who's trying to help you out trope, so common in horror movies, was executed perfectly here. He went from piss to pissing in his pants in 0.3 seconds. Whitley is brave as fuck. If I was in his position, I'd be covering my eyes and stifling my breath and not peeking around the corner to get a closer look. This kid is brave as hell. I know you're here. That's creepy as fuck, especially if you're a child like Whitley who never dealt with the Grim by herself, and now there's one that's fucking talking. This kid has every right to be traumatized. I hope the situation awakens his intent and resolve to unlock his semblance and train his abilities so he's never made to feel so helpless like this ever again. Also, Willow finally confirmed in the show to be able to summon and use the Schnee family semblance. I know it wasn't shown in the comics, but having it be in the show proper is absolutely excellent. After all, Winter and Weiss inherited it from their mother, Willow, and not their dad, Jackass, since their mother is the actual Schnee heiress that their father married into. Willie going back to click the button to enable their plan to save everyone to work, risking his life to save others? King shit. I knew my faith in him since Volume 4 wasn't misplaced. You go, King. This entire sequence was nerve-wracking. Good job. Weiss has ridiculously good timing and aim. Her accuracy is perhaps unparalleled, I think. Remember when she jumped up while spinning 720 degrees and still managed to stab Roman's barrel with pinpoint accuracy when he was in the Atlas Paladin? This girl is fucking talented. Why is Blake's animation so stilted and slow? She's supposed to be quick and untouchable. A ninja cat girl. Her fucking semblance depends on her reaction times. I do like her trying talk no jutsu to RWBY though, and it does work, so maybe that's just a new semblance everyone's got. Why is Blake's aura threatening to shatter too? Why is everyone so nerfed? What is going on, RWBY? Oh look, Blake is blushing. Ladybug stands, rise up. The way Penny just shoves the fuck out of Klein is killing me. She said, fuck dwarves' lives. I kinda expected Penny to shove Whitley over the banister, so I'm really glad that didn't happen. She's about her objective, so as long as you don't interfere, she doesn't give a fuck about you.
What are you doing?
I must open the vault. And then self-terminate.
Oh no, baby, oh fuck no. Is this Ironwood's or Wattsmith's plan? Penny's self-destructing will put the Winter Maiden powers back into play. That seems like something that would benefit Ironwood more than it would Watts, but I also wouldn't put it past Watts to do it just to make it harder for the other factions to get to. After all, they wouldn't know who the fuck it goes to. And Penny's not really in her clear state of mind, so unless RWBY is in her final thoughts, then we don't really know. Penny said fuck the Hound, and the Hound said fuck Penny right back. It was so funny. This is the most controlled use of RWBY's silver-eyed powers. She's quickly getting the hang of it. We saw her first do so back in Volume 7 when she sicked her silver eye powers on Cinder to protect Penny, and again now against the Hound to save Penny again. She's quickly mastering her abilities. Interesting to see that the silver-eyed powers work on the Hound as well. Good to have it confirmed. It is, after all, a Grim. You can tell from how they're framing the shot that the focus is on the Hound, not Team RWBY. So it's not really a surprise that he comes back. What is a surprise is this. There's a person inside the Hound. Well, I mean, I guess it wasn't as big a surprise as it could have been, given that I and a lot of other people were suspecting it would be Summer inside the Hound, if anyone at all. But still, the confirmation that the Hound is part person, part Grim is terrifying. This is what might await Cinder if her apparent Grimification becomes complete. Also, it's not just a person, but a Faunus. For a split second, I had thought that the person inside was Adam, because I took note of the protuberances atop his head and his damaged eye, and thought horns and Adam's branding scar, and I had been so fucking shocked and excited and terrified for what this could mean. Of course, a split second later, I fully comprehended what I saw and realized, disappointedly, that this was, in fact, not Adam. But could you imagine, though? I didn't notice this until it was pointed out and mentioned on Twitter, but this Faunus has cat, dog, bear, I'll go with the bear. Bear Faunus has silver eyes. So not only is it now confirmed that Faunus can be silver-eyed warriors, or at least silver-eyed people, and though it was never really stated that they couldn't be, they weren't really shown with it either, so it kind of became, is this a human-only trait, or like you just interpreted it from the omission of any sort of confirmation that the Faunus could have silver eyes, kind of situation. But anyways, it's also confirmed that silver-eyed warriors can become grimified. Not even they're safe. Also, congrats to Whitley for his quick thinking and his and Willow's murder of a Faunus person. Clearly they're human supremacists now too, right? But really, good job for being the ones to take down the Hound. It also means Willow and Whitley, should he ever learn to use his inherited semblance, can canonically summon the Hound to use in combat. RWBY absolutely didn't let Weiss kill it because she just summoned the Hound all the time, and they couldn't have that. Plus this counts as Willow and Whitley's kill, so good on them.
What was that?
was a person.
I know you're thinking about how that could be you, and that we cut to Cinder and her very grim arm. I really hope that's foreshadowing that Cinder retains her humanity, isn't subject to complete gamification, and ultimately survives and gets normal prosthetics.
You know, this may be the first time I've ever been happy to see you.
Cinder!
You were pretty happy to see his insignia back in Volume 3 on the scroll.
Besides, the last of the heavy lifting is being taken care of, thanks to our clever little friend.
But maybe you meant in person. Also, at what point did Cinder and Watts have a falling out? Back in Volume 2, she referred to him as a clever little friend. Then we see Watts for the first time next volume in Volume 4. He's antagonizing her at every chance because he isn't particularly fond of failure.
You hear that? Silence. I have half the mind to thank the little girl that bested you. Pathetic.
Do you find such malignance necessary?
I apologize, ma'am. I'm not particularly fond of failure.
Cinder, dear, are we coming through? Can you see us clearly? Well, as clearly as you can.
Shut up.
Oh, goody. You've recovered.
Why'd he take it that personally? Ever since then, their relationship has been supremely antagonistic, and I wonder how it would have been if Watts hadn't been such a bitch to her for no reason. There was certainly no aggression on her side prior to this, so why'd he keep going for her jugular? I mean, with Tyrion it's understandable, because Tyrion and Cinder, they don't fuck with each other, but Watts could have been on her side, or like, Cinder could have at least had one ally. As it stands, she doesn't really have any allies, and like, Hazel is indifferent, Watts and Tyrion hate her, and Salem is fucking Salem. So, whatever. Cinder benching Watts is adorable. What a cute little moment between frenemies. What is it that Cinder wants, and is it something she's doing separate from Salem? It's her.
It's her!
How do you recognize her? Are you the same guy as this one back in Beacon in Volume 2? Or do they just know who Cinder is from her whole Wanted and Mistral / Orchestrated the Fall of Beacon thing? Fucking love Cinder's confident, derisive scoff, and her high heels and the flames around her feet whenever she speeds off or is hovering in the air. I love fire, I love heels, I love Cinder, all three are excellent. The Atlas guards are so useless. She literally blitzed right past them, and the other two didn't even bother trying to shoot, content to let the other guy with the big, slow, cumbersome rocket launcher fire a missile at her. That was so embarrassing for them. Who hires these clowns? Just a minor nitpick. The series goes out of its way to acknowledge that there's a difference between human and faunus, and that they're two separate species, especially since one is oppressing the other. You wouldn't really want to lump the oppressed party in with their oppressor, you know? The person inside the Hound was clearly a faunus, given his animal ears of indeterminate origin. I think I thought they were bears, maybe? Not sure why they labeled him the Hound Human in his asset reveal in the concept art at the end of the episode. He's clearly a faunus. What an episode. Did it live up to the hype of the 100th episode? I'd say it did a fairly good job. I'm very surprised that the Hound is out of commission this early in the volume, killed in the first episode of the back half of the season. Either there are other types of hounds or similar grim, or Salem's cooking up something with silver-eyed warriors. Is that what she had Tyrion hunt them down for, assuming he didn't kill all of them? While the episode disproved the theory that the Hound is Summer Rose, it also reinforced that a silver-eyed person was the Hound. And that means since we know Salem and Summer met, it's very possible that Salem made Summer into a different... Try saying that 5 times fast. Salem made Summer into a different type of Grim or another of the Hounds. Maybe the inspiration is the Sherlock Holmes tale, The Hounds of Baskerville, plural. And that means there's more than one Hound. Excellent character development from Whitley this episode, and he was the one who came up with the solution for saving the people in Mantle / the crater, as well as ultimately killing the Hound with Willow's help. Good on Willow for prioritizing her children instead of drinking because of her addiction, and kudos to her for so far avoiding the mom with a side ponytail dies tragically trope in anime. This episode was certainly something, and I really enjoyed it. I'd give it like a 7 or 8 out of 10. I really hope next episode holds up. I'm so glad the show's back on and airing again, and I can't wait to see what's in store for the last 6 episodes of the season. Only 6 more weeks of RWBY, and then another huge hiatus until Volume 9. with volumes 10 through 12, aka the Vacuo arc, still unconfirmed to be greenlit. I'm scared, and not in a good way like in the episode. I'll see you all next week with the next episode of RWBY Review. Until then, take care, friend.